just a time. Look into your eyes. I look into your eyes. No longer mine. No, you're no longer mine. The silence will come. In silence will come. This is the night. Now you and this is the
Hey there everybody, Nathan Elson here. Welcome back to the channel. Now hopefully you guys enjoyed that little short film. It's just something that I thought would add just a little extra to these tutorials, and it was fun to shoot. I've never done anything like that before. Now with that being said, I'm just wondering if you guys think that that should be something on its own, or if you enjoy having that at the beginning of something like this, which is the tutorial. You know, should I be shooting those as their own separate entity, I guess is what I'm wondering. So sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. If you'd like to see those as separate things and you just want to get straight to the information with these tutorials, I don't know. I'm just playing around at this point. So with that being said, I wanted to create a couple of images that just had that kind of like raw, disheveled look to them. Black and white, kind of gritty, just a little bit messy, but super interesting, a lot of shadow play. So I set out and I created images that look like this. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you guys behind the scenes of the shoot, show you how I lit the images. Then we're gonna jump into Capture One. I'm gonna show you how I graded these images to give them that final kind of like gritty feel. And then we'll jump into Photoshop, do a couple of little quick retouching, and you guys will get to see the entire process from start to finish. So with that, let's just get into it. So here we are in the studio, and I'm running a simple one light setup. Now my main light is an AD600 Pro, and the modifier is my trusty large Pro Photo Deep umbrella with the diffusion material attached. Now this light is metered to f2.8 at 1/250th of a second at ISO 100. Now this means that my camera settings are also going to be f2.8 at 1/250th of a second at ISO 100, with my white balance set to 5300 Kelvin to match my lighting. Now, C-stands are great for this kind of lighting setup because you get that extension arm that allows you to position your light lower than the top of your light stand base. All of this while still maintaining the stability of a heavy light stand to support your lighting and the modifier. Now, without this ability, the light would be placed too high and I would lose that side lighting effect that I wanted to achieve. Now, when it comes to the angle of this lighting, it's positioned almost vertically to create that side lighting look to add more shadows into the image. Now, what you need to consider with this type of lighting is that it's more about creating interesting shadows within the entire image as opposed to creating perfect catch lights in the eyes. Now, the camera I'm using is the Nikon Z Mark II with the FTZ adapter and the Sigma 50mm f1.4 art lens attached, and I'm tethered into Capture One Pro. Now here to change things up a bit, we decided to add a jacket and play around with some standing poses. We didn't change anything about the lighting other than changing the height, but the angle and power remained the same as in the first set of images. Now from this angle, you can see that I have the light feathered so that Daniela is standing towards the back of the umbrella, allowing that light to travel across her entire body while still maintaining that shadow play. She's also standing around 5 feet from the back of the white backdrop, which is allowing that backdrop to fall off to that light gray that you see in the final images. Now for my camera, I'm still shooting on the Nikon Z6 Mark II at f2.8 at 1/250th of a second at ISO 100, but I've changed lenses to the Sigma 85mm art lens with the f2Z adapter. Okay, so here we are in Capture One, and I'm just going to take you guys through some of the images here. Now, Daniela is fantastic to work with. I will link her Instagram down in the description below. You guys always ask for links to the model, so here you go. But I just wanted to give you just a quick look at some of the images, and Daniela knows that I prefer interesting over glamour, if you will. So even though, you know, we've got a model in lingerie, that kind of thing, I'm looking for something that has more interest in it, something that isn't just soft and pretty and all about, you know, just that glamour aspect, something that has a little bit more edge to it, something that, you know, can possibly make you just stop and look at the image and go like, okay, like that's interesting. Interesting is always what I'm going for. And Daniela is fantastic in providing me with just tons of options in front of the camera. She's so good. So I'm gonna take you guys through and show you how I convert these to black and white, and then I'll take you into Photoshop and we're not gonna do a lot of retouching because I do want these images to have that raw feel. But another thing that I wanted to touch on is I shot these images at f2.8, which is not something that I normally do in studio. And the reason for that, and it loses its translation in these smaller kind of web res images, but I do plan to likely be printing some of these for a few different things, but hopefully large format. But yeah, what we want to show you here is just things like this, where the cigarette is in focus and then, you know, Daniela is falling out of focus, and it draws just like a really cool interest to it. And it's something that I wouldn't be able to get if I was shooting at f8 or something like that, which is what I would normally shoot at in studio. I just wanted to be able to have these images kind of fall in and out of focus in different areas. And again, this isn't something that I actually planned. It was just a super happy accident that happens in photography, where something happens. And this image, it became one of my favorites really quick, just because the focus was on the end of the cigarette, and you know, we still have her entire body there, which is falling into more of the out of focus areas. It's just really nice and soft, but then you get this stark image of the cigarette itself. And I just think it's super cool. And when we convert this, I just feel like it looks even better. So that was one of the reasons why I shot this at f2.8, was I just wanted things to fall in and out of focus and just, again, find more of that interest. You'll hear me say that a lot, interest. I like to create photos with interest. So with that being said, let's do some conversion here. So we're just gonna go up, I'm gonna go up into my styles here, and I'm just gonna click on the classic. Now, this is a style that I created just for this exact style of photography, something that classic black and white. And so we're just gonna apply that. And the majority of the work here is done, but there's a couple of things I wanna change here. Now, number one is I just wanna make the highlights pop a little bit more. So I'm just gonna come into my highlights here, and I'm just gonna bump that up just a touch, not a lot, just a little. And I also wanted these images to have that kind of old school film effect. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna come in to my area here, and I'm just gonna select the silver rich. And I'm just gonna bring that up here. And as you can see, it's starting to add a lot of granular specks into the shadows and stuff like that, like a high ISO type film. And again, this is just like a personal artistic preference, if you will. But when I shot these images, this is, you know, essentially kind of what I wanted to go for. And a lot of people say, well, why didn't you just shoot this at a really high ISO then? Well, I like to be able to make a decision later. If I decide, you know what, actually, I want this image to be super clean. When I print it, if it looks like it would actually be better as a super clean, no grain in it at all type image, then I have that option. So just to, I'm gonna add that in probably around 40 there. And I'll just show you a before and after. So this is the before, and the after. So as you can see, we're starting to add in that granular effect into the darker areas, and that it's just starting to look a lot more kind of like that vintage film. And I'll give you guys a full screen before and after. And again, like it's with this side lighting, it works so well. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually just going to copy this, and then I'm gonna select all of these images because they were all shot in the exact same lighting. And I'm just going to quickly apply that. And that has now taken all of these images and applied that entire effect to all of the images. And like I was saying before, this lighting is more about creating interesting shape in the actual body and, you know, make something that has just a little bit more of a grabbing effect to it than getting, you know, the perfect catch lights in the eyes and that kind of thing. So just to kind of walk you through here, yeah, like this looks super great as well. And then so for these images, I'm just going to apply the exact same thing. And yeah, actually, you know what? It works really well. I am going to bump up these highlights just a touch more. Yeah, not too much. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to apply that to the rest of these images here. And then as you can see on these, it's a super classic kind of cool black and white to it. And I really love this image. I love the way she's kind of broken down with it. Honestly, what I think I'll end up doing is taking that one and this one and probably printing them as, you know, two separate pieces that are a set. I really like the way her gaze is kind of coming across at this. I really love the way that the cigarette is the focus on this image. I just think that they're super interesting. I'm a huge fan of the way these turned out. And I initially thought too that what I would do is I would come in here and, you know, kind of content aware fill out some of these areas just to give me like a large white backdrop. But I actually really like the way that the stands and everything else just kind of adds to that disheveledness that we were aiming for. Obviously, you know what, I'll get rid of the phone in the final image, but yeah, outside of that, I mean, these look exactly how I wanted them to. We get that little bit of grain coming into the shadows, giving it that filmish type vibe. And I'll take you guys through. I think what we're gonna do is maybe, what should we do here? Let's do this one. We're gonna come in, we're gonna do just a little bit of a quick post work on this image here. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and you guys might be wondering real quick, what's this thing that I've got sitting here? This is my tour box. Now, I did an entire video on this piece of gear, which I will link up here. You guys can check that out if you like. And if you're watching this video before September 30th, 2021, I'm actually giving one of these away. You can check out the link in that video up there in how to get one of these for yourself. But yeah, with that being said, let's just jump into just some quick editing on this image. Now, so the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm just going to come in and we're just going to do some quick heel brush stuff here. Nothing too major. And that's the one thing with this type of lighting is you will, you know, Danielle's got amazing skin, but you will pull out any just slight imperfections in the skin when you're lighting it directly from the side like this. It's just kind of like a blemish magnifier, if you will. So again, not a lot to do, just a little. I'm not going to do anything with her hair because I really do like that disheveled look that we've got going on there. But I'm just going to kind of clean up a couple of little areas here. And not much to take care of. There we go. And again, I'm also going to keep all of the marks on the floor and stuff like that. I feel like it adds to the image as a whole. So now that we've got that, I'm just going to come up here and I'm just going to run my dodge and burn. Now I'm just going to come with my dodge here and I'm just going to lighten this area up a little bit. And if you guys have never, if this is your first time seeing one of my retouching tutorials. I use this dodge and burn action a ton. It's completely free. I will link it down in the description below. All you need to do is run it. Make sure that you're set to your paintbrush, that your paintbrush is set to white so that you're painting on top of the mask. You want your flow to be set to around 4% and your opacity to set to be 100% and your brush to be set at maximum softness. And then from there, we just kind of come in here and we start just cleaning up a couple of these quick areas here. And if I toggle this on and off here, you can see I'm just kind of cleaning up this area right around her eye where it was just a little bit darker than I wanted it to be. Nothing too crazy, but just adding those little fine tunes to it. There we go. And again, just a couple of spots in and around her mouth here. There we go. Awesome. And we'll just come up onto her chest a touch. Again, nothing too major. The whole kind of aspect of this shoot was to have images that were a little bit more raw and not overly polished or retouched. So we just want to kind of clean up a few different areas here. And just to show you like just this area here, what I'm doing is just kind of taking out some of the kind of like darker areas that just don't match with the flow of the light. So when I toggle that on and off, you can see how that's done up there. And if I toggle it on and off on her face, you can see here in her eye, a little bit on her nose and around her mouth. When I turn it back on, that just disappears. So all I'm doing is kind of painting away the darker areas just to even out the skin tone just a touch. And that's all I really do with dodging and burning. You don't really need to create shape that isn't there. That's what you're using your lighting for. But you can use dodge and burn just to kind of even out the transitions of light, just to kind of give it a little bit more fluidity. There we go. That looks great. So if I turn that on and off, you can see it just opened up a little bit on her face there. I'm gonna run this one more time and just do just a touch more right here. Not a lot, just a little. Maybe I'll throw a little bit of dodge into her eye as well here. Awesome. There. Flatten that down. And then if we just gonna do like a before and an after, you can see we just opened up that shadow on her face a little bit, made it just a little less contrasty, a little bit more flowy. And yeah, that's pretty much all we need to do for these images. And so with that, that's another tutorial wrapped up in the bag for you guys. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching the entire video through. Hopefully you picked up something from it that you can use in your shoots going forward. Now that being said, there's a couple of things I just want to touch on real quick. Number one, make sure that if you guys are interested in that tour box, you check out that video. I will link it at the end of this one. You can win one for free. And again, if this is before September 30th, 2021 that you're seeing this, it's a contest that I'm running. I love being able to give things away to you guys. So this is just my way of saying thank you for being a part of this channel and for viewing these videos and just being awesome as a whole. And number two, make sure that you let me know what you guys think about those intro videos at the beginning, whether or not that's something that should be its own standalone product, or if you guys really enjoy having those at the beginning of these tutorials, it's something that kind of combines it all together. Let me know either way. I'd be really interested in your guys' input on that. With that being said, thank you guys so much again for being here. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Cheers.